First, assemble the leaf pieces of equal size together. Start with the smaller flaps. Thread the yarn of any one leaf piece onto a needle, ensuring the lower part of the yarn is positioned towards the top right corner. Then, pass the needle through from both sides of this leaf piece and pull it out. Repeat this process for the other 2 leaf pieces, connecting all 3 leaf pieces together. Finally, pass the needle through the first leaf piece again and tie the 2 yarn ends to secure them. Use the same method to connect the other 2 sets. Next, assemble the 3 leaf pieces of different sizes together. Start with the smallest flaps and the middle flaps. Thread the 3 strands of yarn from the small flaps through the center of the middle flaps. Then thread the yarn of both sets through the center of the large flaps. Tie the yarn ends to secure them, intertwining the inner and outer yarn strands. Straighten out the outer layer of yarn and tie knots with random strands from the inner layer, setting the knots aside. Repeat this process for all yarn strands. make sure each strand of yarn is securely knotted. After knotting, leave 6 to 8 strands of yarn intact. Keep these 6 strands of yarn on or near the 6 leaf pieces and cut off the excess yarn. Finally, leave 8 or 6 strands of yarn. Start by learning how to crochet soil. You'll need to crochet 4 pieces, and for the first round, you'll use a magic loop. Begin by wrapping the yarn around your left hand. Then insert the crochet hook into the loop on your fingers. Wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through the loop, making sure your left thumb remains still while holding the intersection. Continue to wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through the loop on the hook, completing the initial stitch. This stitch doesn't count as a stitch in the count. Next, single crochet 6 stitches into the loop. When inserting the hook into the loop, ensure both strands of yarn are above the hook. After completing the first single crochet, place a stitch marker under the first V-shaped stitch completed. Continue crocheting the remaining single crochets. Crochet the second single crochet, then the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth single crochets. Count the V's to ensure there are 6. Start counting from where the stitch marker is placed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once confirmed, tighten the loop to form a circle. Pull it tight enough so that there are no gaps in the middle. In the second round, crochet an increased stitch in each stitch, meaning you'll crochet 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch. This round will have a total of 12 stitches. Remove the stitch marker, then single crochet once in the same stitch. Replace the stitch marker, then continue by single crocheting again in the same stitch. This completes the increase stitch. Proceed to crochet the remaining 5 increase stitches. In the third round, the sequence is as follows. Single crochet in the first stitch, then crochet 2 single crochet stitches in the second stitch. Repeat this sequence within parentheses 6 times. The total stitch count for this round is 18 stitches. Remove the stitch marker, single crochet once, then replace the stitch marker. In the next stitch, crochet an increase stitch, meaning you'll crochet 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch, then single crochet once in the same stitch again. This completes 1 set within the parentheses. Repeat the sequence for the remaining 5 sets. In the fourth round, the sequence is as follows. Single crochet in the first stitch, then crochet 2 single crochet stitches in the second stitch. Repeat this sequence within parentheses 9 times. The total stitch count for this round is 27 stitches. Start by single crocheting once, then in the next stitch, crochet an increase stitch, meaning you'll crochet 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch, then single crochet once in the same stitch again. This completes one set within the parentheses. Repeat this sequence for the remaining 8 sets. For rounds 5 to 10, single crochet in each stitch around. Each round will have a total of 27 stitches. For the 11th round, the sequence is as follows. Single crochet in the first stitch, then decrease 1 stitch. Repeat this sequence within parentheses 9 times. The total stitch count for this round is 18 stitches. Start by single crocheting once, remove the stitch marker, single crochet once more, then replace the stitch marker. Now, let's learn the new technique of decreasing stitches. To decrease stitches, insert the crochet hook under the front loop of the next stitch, then insert it under the front loop of the following stitch. At this point, there should appear to be 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the 2 front loops. Now, there should be 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. This completes the decrease stitch. After completing the decrease stitch, you may find it difficult to locate the next stitch. Simply pull up the completed decrease stitch slightly, and you'll notice that the 2 stitches above it will be slanted and not parallel to the ones that haven't been crocheted yet. The area where you've crocheted will no longer form a V shape, while the unworked area will still have a complete V shape, indicating the location of the next stitch. Repeat this process for the remaining 7 sets according to the sequence described above. For the 12th round, single crochet in each stitch around. This round will have a total of 18 stitches. Once completed, pull the loop larger to prevent accidental unraveling. The next step is to stuff the piece with filling. Take out some stuffing and gradually stuff it into the piece. Keep adding stuffing until it's completely filled and firm. Then, take out the pot and place the piece inside to see if the size is appropriate. If it's too small, you can add more stuffing. And if it's too large, remove some stuffing. Adjust until the size fits properly. Insert the crochet hook into the loop to begin the 13th round. The sequence for this round is as follows. Single crochet in the first stitch, then decrease 1 stitch. Repeat this sequence within parentheses 6 times. The total stitch count for this round is 12 stitches. Start by single crocheting once, remove the stitch marker, single crochet once more, then replace the stitch marker. Now, let's begin decreasing stitches. Insert the crochet hook under the front loops of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over and pull through the 2 front loops. Yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. This completes one set of the sequence in parentheses. Now, look at the next set. Single crochet twice, 1, 2, then decrease 1 stitch. After completing the decrease stitch, you've finished the second set. Repeat this sequence for the remaining 4 sets. The sequence for the 14th round is to decrease 1 stitch repeated 6 times. This round will have a total of 6 stitches. Remove the stitch marker, then crochet 1 decrease stitch. After completing the decrease stitch, replace the stitch marker. Now, continue by crocheting the remaining decrease stitches, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull the loop to the length of the crochet hook and then cut it in the middle. Pull out one end of the connecting thread, remove the marker, and take out the sewing needle. Thread the yarn into the sewing needle, passing through these 6 front loops. Insert the sewing needle into the front loop and pull out. Continue to pass through the next 5 front loops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tighten the yarn after completing the 6 loops, ensuring the 6 front loops are gathered together. Thread the sewing needle through the middle and tighten again, then sew a stitch to secure it loosely. Finally, cut off the excess thread and use the tip of the sewing needle to tuck in any remaining loose ends. With this step, the soil crocheting is complete. All the crocheting steps for the soil are the same, so you can complete all the soil crocheting following the same steps as just described. This step involves connecting the succulent with the soil. Start by threading the long yarn left from the cactus into a sewing needle. Then, take out the soil and begin counting from the first round, numbering 1 through 13. Between rounds 12 and 13, sew the soil and succulent together. Insert the sewing needle into any hole between rounds 12 and 13 of the soil, then pass it out from the bottom of the soil. Remove the sewing needle and thread another piece of yarn through it. Similarly, insert it into any hole between rounds 12 and 13, allowing the first 4 strands to emerge from any hole. After completing the first 4 strands, the remaining 4 should emerge from the same hole as the previous strands. Both sets of strands should be in the same hole. Tie a knot to secure the 2 strands in the same hole. trim any excess yarn, and use the sewing needle's tip to push in any remaining yarn ends. Finally, place the soil portion into the pot and ensure the succulent is lying flat, completing the process.